Welcome to the Smart Thinking Podcast. This is my dad, Ted.
Welcome to the Smart Thinking Podcast. I'm your host, Ted Knightsky. This episode, I want to address something that I believe is one of the most important qualities of a leader: gratitude. Gratitude aimed at anyone and everyone, but particularly on this episode, our educators. And the reason is, I went for a long walk the other night after reading the Walton Family Foundation's report on the state of teaching in the state of education. And I couldn't stop thinking about a few things. And many of the things I was thinking about, I'm going to share in this episode, but I really want us to try to figure out a way to fuel our educators this summer. Now, educators are everyone who work in a school, for a school: teachers, principals, superintendents, paraprofessionals, maintenance, admin, assistants, coaches, lunchroom volunteers, and anybody else that I might be missing, because everyone who works in a school supports the educational journey in one way or another. However, I do want to focus today on just one group of the people who work in education, and that's the front-facing teachers. This group in particular is amazing for many reasons. First and foremost, their commitment to children. Good luck finding another profession that is as committed to its mission as that of teachers. We could argue elements of healthcare, but I don't think that there are too many professional groups that commit as much as teachers commit, as well as carry everything that they carry in their hearts, both joyful and burdensome, like a teacher. Now, as we get into this, I want to talk to you a little bit about what teachers face. Because in 2026, the classroom teacher is many things. They provide human and emotional support for their students and each other, not just during the school year, but all the time, often mentoring and coaching students throughout their lives. Teachers give greatly from their own pockets, many times buying school supplies, providing funds for different materials and pieces that kids need in their rooms, whether that be pencils to shoes and coats to mittens all the way to food. And it's always their own resources. They are architects and facilitators in their own classroom because, of course, they're responsible for learning, lesson design, materials, feedback, testing, and differentiated support systems for all the different students that they face, whether they're formal or informal, and they're customer service agents now. The 21st century allows for 24-hour, 7-day-a-week feedback and communication between school and home. It's really a problem sometimes, and modern teachers are emailing at all times of day and night and posting grades that parents all too easily review, critique, and complain about. The tech support and innovation pieces they have to do as well. I mean, they've got to be a step ahead of the students in every way. Every day, some edutech giant invents a new and more innovative way to approach the basics, and teachers are constantly updating their personal teaching operating system so that they can apply this new technology in their classrooms, fighting most recently with the easy pathways AI creates for kids in learning or not learning. I imagine teachers in the 1950s might not have been too happy when families started buying encyclopedias either, but teachers are constantly evolving. Plus, they're in charge of logistics and safety. Crowd control. I was a teacher and a principal. Every day you're managing large groups of people who want to do things their own way as much as possible. And teachers are constantly orchestrating the swift, orderly, and calm movements of 25 to 30 energetic young people through crowded hallways, cafeterias, and bus lines. Think of those elementary teachers when they walk the kids to art or back from recess. Constantly doing crowd control. Speaking of crowd control, they've also got all of the responsibilities for safety. Think about this. Teachers are like frontline first responders. They have to memorize and execute complex safety protocols for fire drills, severe weather, medical emergencies, active shooter scenarios, carrying both the projects, the expectations, and the processes, while also the heavy psychological burden of being responsible for literally making sure the kids survive. They do all of this while working with their colleagues, wonderful and weird people. I would be on the weird side of that T-chart. But anyways, they're doing this every single day, managing their professional colleagues. Some of them buffaloes, some of them cows, because they're everywhere. But 33% of teachers in the United States are currently engaged per Gallup, leaving a lot of room for mooing. And as you listen, you can hear why. Because there's a lot of statistics here that create burdens for our educators. This amazing balancing act that teachers do is very difficult, and especially for any professional level, let alone people with this much pressure on them all the time. There are an estimated 4 million teachers in the United States. And just for context, there are 3.3 million nurses in the United States, 2.3 million waitresses and waiters, 1.6 million accountants, and about 1 million carpenters. So all of these teachers, everywhere across the country, are doing extraordinary things, all of them experiencing some version of what I just shared with you, which is why this summer, we're all going to do things a little different for and to them. But before we get into it, we've got to do our weekly reminders. First, what is a leader? Well, leadership is everywhere, every day. And a leader is anyone who has influence over another person, walking through their days, recognizing and understanding that they can give people the tools, the resources, or the examples they need to find their own success. Second, we're all followers, people who have to collaborate with other people, hold ourselves accountable, be engaged, and be resilient. We also have to be empathetic, wondering what's it like to be the people around us, and practicing self-empathy and asking ourselves, what am I currently going through? And in this episode, if you are a teacher, I'm going to tell you some things that you're going through, but I'm also going to be really proud of you. And finally, reflection. Every single day, asking ourselves at the end of the day, what did I do well for others? How am I going to improve tomorrow? And then executing that the next day. Because life is only one way, and it's forward. And we do that by being buffaloes, charging into every storm that we face, proactively and with energy. So, a couple more statistics for you and then a story. I really enjoyed reading this Walton report, and afterwards I really got stuck into finding out as much as I could about what are the averages for everybody that I've ever worked with. Well, here's some information for you. The average teacher in the United States works at least 53 hours per week. That is the average, and I'd argue that's low. That is roughly 6.3 weeks of work over the course of the school year. If teachers were given compensation time like some professions for working beyond their 40 hours, that summer, that is what we currently experience when lots of people say, well, teachers have the summer off. That summer is literally compensation for the overtime. Think about it. So no more, the teachers get the summer off. Cash. Let's talk about money. The average amount per teacher that they spend individually per year in their classrooms is a minimum of $653. And teachers in lower socioeconomic schools or schools with significant poverty spend an average of $1,000 to upwards of $3,000 to supplement their classrooms. Taking just the average, that means classroom teachers spend $2.6 billion a year for their students. That sounds like commitment to me. Heck, I can't tell you how many times I trip over Amazon boxes of classroom supplies or books, materials, or am asked to run to the grocery store and get marshmallows and spaghetti noodles or candy for tomorrow's lesson because I live with a teacher that I love. Plus, one more thing to get your noggin jogging. Well, it's not one more thing. It's a bunch of things. This Walton Foundation and Gallup publication that I'm discussing is something really, really powerful. And in the new research, the data reveals that 71% of U.S. teachers hold at least one second job. About 1/3 of those teachers work jobs completely outside of the education field, while the rest take on education-related side gigs like tutoring or coaching. The breakdown of this supplemental work highlights how widespread the need for extra income has become for professional teachers. Timing. Among teachers with side jobs, 85% work these jobs during the academic school year, not just over the summer. And education versus non-education? Well, roughly 31% of teachers hold jobs unrelated to teaching, like retail or rideshare driving, while 62% have education-related side hustles. Financial strain is something that's very significant for teachers because teachers who struggle to cover household expenses are twice as likely to hold non-education jobs compared to their comfortably living peers who have the same degrees. And breaking that down, that means that roughly 3.1 million teachers are working 2 jobs or carrying extra contracts, extending their workdays every day. So now we know the issue. But before we get to the strategies and solutions, I have a quick story for you. For the last 2 years, I've lived with 2 teachers, my wife and my son. Charlie is in his, Charlie's not in his, he just completed his 2nd year of teaching, and Megan is in her 31st year coming up. They both teach middle school and both ironically teach 8th grade in different schools. However, I have had the greatest experience the last 2 years as I've listened to the 2 of them get closer over their shared experiences. I'm literally sitting in the back seat of their lives watching this remarkable relationship expand and evolve professionally. And I'm really lucky as I watch. Megan supports Charlie with classroom lesson designs and affirmations on his work, and I see and hear how the two of them talk to each other about their days, how they share trends and help keep each other in check. I also watch my son step into spaces that my wife is not comfortable with or doesn't understand, as he is rapidly able to figure out new technologies and new approaches, or how to interpret the language of the students that he is only, 9 years older than. I sit at the dinner table as they exchange quips about their days, interesting actions of their students and decisions, and process the impact of current events in the seasons of their school year. They discuss everything, and occasionally I get included. Now, it is always hard for me because I stopped teaching in 2002. But that's actually weirdly been my son's entire life. And for his entire life, I've been a principal or administrator. So my perspective is, it's on occasion frowned upon at the dinner table because I occasionally forget to be empathetic and instead drop into policy speak and am looked at like not helpful, buddy. These nights, the past year, have been filled with the offloading of difficult days and the uplifting of beautiful moments. So I witnessed 2 incidents this past year that got me thinking a lot, especially after reading that research study. On 2 separate occasions, I witnessed my roommates, Charlie and Megan, elevated by the behavior of someone else. I can't get into too much detail here, but I can share the gist. Charlie, a second-year teacher, had been on a great stretch of the school year, and per his nature, he's a very caring and people-based teacher leader. His Clifton strengths lean heavy on relationships, and he worries often about and for his students and his colleagues. He was sitting in the living room when he shared that he had received a note. The note was very simply written, but it weighed greatly in his hands. This simple note pointed out a few things about him: how much energy he had, how much care he had, how he treated his students, and what a great colleague he was. And he was really happy that she noticed. We quickly processed the note and the impact, and he went about his evening. But I'm his dad, and I know how much that meant to him, because I couldn't believe how much it meant to me. Too many teachers are out there doing their thing, and they have doubts, which is why when Megan, my wife, received a note in the middle of her year, and she asked me to look at it, I again realized how impactful these moments of recognition are for people. I know how I feel, and I see how others respond when they get recognized for being themselves. And Megan is extremely humble and is an amazing educator. I know because I watch her come in the house every night with shoulder pain from carrying her 10 Vera Bradley bags filled with all different types of things: her language arts students' work, her computer, her water bottle. I should do a whole episode on those big water bottles teachers carry. Anyways, I then watch her grade and plan and read and write and work all weekend and every night. So before, when they said the average teacher worked 53 hours a week, I kind of doubt it. I think it's much more. Well, what caused these 2 teachers, my roommates, to pause and then be filled with energy? Someone else's awareness of their impact. These are highly modified stories about the energy and lift that was created by those notes. But I'm telling you, those notes mattered. Why? Recognition matters. And too often people just simply don't know where they stand with others. We know that school staff make sacrifices like we heard of before. But in the end, the bulk of the staff is still wondering about their impact. Am I making a difference? And many times, because of the data-driven world we live in, it really hits on those data days. Now remember, data does not have a heartbeat, so it does not deserve an emotional response. And I say this all the time, but as my friend Steve added to that saying, it does deserve a response. Well, so do the people responsible for creating all the data points. Too often the internal markers of success exclude all of the other things that teachers are doing. And instead of recognizing the entire body of work, commitment, and contributions, too many teachers get stuck with their own narratives that a singular data point is what defines them. Which is why I want to do some smart thinking about how to humbly celebrate what staff do and use the summer to do it. Now, Ted, I'm not pulling everybody together for a summer faculty meeting. Are you out of your mind? No, that's the last thing I want you to do. This summer, I want you to be the elevating factor for others. As people who work in education know, there is not a single day in summer when those who work in education who are quote-unquote off, they are constantly. There is not a day that they don't think about school, a student, a colleague, their curriculum, their classroom, or the needs of next year. So why don't we help with that narrative this summer? Here's my challenge. I want you to send a middle of summer note to create elevation to teachers. And let me start with what not to do. Do not write an email to all. The classic, I was sitting in my office or in my house today thinking about all of you and what a great contribution you all made. Everybody's going to right swipe and delete that. As a matter of fact, don't write an email at all. Do not write a letter to all. That is informally insensitive because you sent it to everybody. Don't send a form letter to everyone. Those just get tossed. As a matter of fact, sometimes when a form letter shows up in the middle of summer, it creates a little anxiety because the envelope itself triggers worries about the next school year. So be smart about it. But let's talk about what to do. Now, quickly, before I begin, don't listen to this with a mindset of when will I have the time for this? Remember when people say they don't have time? It's not a time issue. It's a value issue. I don't value this is how I hear it when people tell me they don't have time. So let's look at a few ideas here for you. All right. So what do? We send notes home in summer. Notes to loved ones of those teachers and staff. Recognition of effort and results in the notes. Recognition and celebration of their impact. Summer is compensation time for your investment in the children, and it is earned rejuvenation time. That's what we want to celebrate. You've earned this, and we appreciate what you're doing this summer to get yourself ready for next year. Let's talk about notes home. Handwritten notes to staff that arrive out of nowhere in summer have several powerful impacts. It recognizes that someone is thinking about them. It allows for people to take a moment and reflect of how much they matter. It creates elevation on a random day of the week when they were not expecting it. And it creates lift and motivation to, come back excited. What goes in these notes? Anything. However, if you want to help with others' engagement, there's two main things that need to be in there. Recognition of their effort this year, followed by the evidence that you saw it. That's the first thing. And the second one is celebration of their impact, or sharing a compliment overheard. Now, here's the simplicity of what these notes sound like. Many times people feel like they have to write a small book in a note. No, it's 2 sentences, maybe 3, and it's sincerely in your name. For instance here, Dear Amy, I was sitting here today thinking about how hard you worked for Alex this past school year, and I was grateful for the energy and effort you put into his success, especially the day he had a meltdown about his dog, and you calmly and caringly supported him. Frankly, you do that for everybody and for all of your students. So thanks. Sincerely, Ted. Now, any educator who's listening to this will know that Alex having a meltdown about his dog probably disrupted a lot of things that day, and probably put Alex in a really weird position in his school day, and that Amy was probably a superhero for Alex. But boiled down into 3 simple sentences with a gratitude piece, showing up in the middle of summer, is not just going to elevate Amy, it's going to remind her that she matters, and that you are paying attention. Now, these notes do not have to come from principals. They can come from colleagues, from each other, from anyone who works in a school, anyone who works around a school, anyone who volunteers at a school. A simple 3-sentence note. These types of sincere recognitions of effort, skills, commitment, and energy, they elevate. Imagine you're Amy in this scenario, walking to your mailbox on a random day of the week, and as you walk back, you see a card and some bills and flyers. What are you going to open first? Are you really going to pay attention to the windows and doors sales flyer? No, you're going to go right to that envelope, the card, because cards handwritten have greater weight. Imagine if you're Amy's partner and you get the mail. This envelope gets propped up in a special spot so that the minute you walk in the door, you get it. Recognition always matters. Handwritten, time-proven process. It's amazing. This idea is simple, and it's an investment into people. Summer is a time where weird narratives can seed. Teachers, like all professions, paraprofessionals, anybody who works in schools, they can very quickly and rapidly create anxiety throughout the summer with a simple text. People wonder if they matter or if their impact is going to make a difference in the future. And yet, there you are, in your role. And all you have to do is very simply shift the direction of someone's day by dropping them a note. Let me give you some other iterations of this and some things I've done and heard from other principals. One of the things I really like to do is send a personalized thank you card to the staff members' parents, partners, and children, recognizing that they too are part of the journey. that there's a difference between school year Megan and summer Megan, and that we know that summer Megan is a lot of fun and she's engaging and she's relaxed. But school year Megan, well, she gives 3 chambers of her 4-chamber heart to her school, her students, and her colleagues. So when she gets home, she can be exhausted. She can be short-fused, and rightfully and deservedly so. But when the principal or a colleague writes a note and says, hey, Amy had a tough year this year. She persevered. She was awesome. She was a leader and an example for all of us. And we just wanted you to know that we appreciate everything you did at home to support her. Oh, that goes far. And the intent here is to really be grateful. The best compliments and recognition in the world is when other people hear them about you. Now, I know because I've seen it happen in my own home. People are starving to know if they matter, and you can, with a simple note, shift so much for one person. You can shift their mindset, their negative narratives, their feelings of isolation and loneliness, their wonderings if they make a difference, their wonderings if all of their time, effort, energy, and resources are actually doing anything. And because they're in it, they don't always see it, but we do from the outside. Leaders have influence. A simple summer strategy here, friends, to recognize everyone individually for their contribution can make a huge difference for that person. And you. It is so rewarding to sit down and write out all these cards or notes for people, because then you remember that you have been part of the journey with them. Listen, everyone needs positive reinforcement. However, taking positive reinforcement into recognition of effort, contribution, impact, and then ensuring people are seen for who they are and what they do, that is so critical. This summer provides you the time to lead and demonstrate your empathy for the people you serve amongst or serve alongside or who serve children. I wanted us to think about this for a bunch of reasons, but mostly because some of the hardest working, most dedicated people are not in school this summer, and they are wondering about many things. Some of them are working summer jobs, extra jobs. As we heard, a lot of them are working those jobs, and they're wondering if they made a difference. But they do, because the differences they make, the year ahead, the impact they will make, the investment they make in others, and too often these wonderings lead to questioning of themselves, and we can support these narratives, all of us, especially the listeners who are listening right now who may not be in education. You too can help us. This is an applicable strategy no matter what you do, and you can use it anywhere. A simple note feels awesome, and it fuels, whether it's simple or small. But for an educator, to be at home this summer and reading their mail, your simple note, written by you, can shift tone, narrative, worries, reinforce effort, and dedication. People are starving to be seen, acknowledged, recognized for effort, and appreciated. We all have the ability to lead into this for our teachers and staff. We all have the ability to write and address an envelope. We all have the ability to impact the life of another. And if you were smart, you bought forever stamps a long time ago, so it will barely cost you anything. So charge into this opportunity and elevate the life of an educator. So let's do some smart thinking. List who you can write this summer. Describe the process you can use to increase recognition in subtle ways for the people you serve alongside during the summer months. And finally, list the people who have written you and how it impacted you. That's it. That's the Smart Thinking Podcast. Hey, as always, thank you so much for listening to this. And please make sure to share this with everybody who needs to hear it, anybody who works in our field of education, and everyone who can make a difference for others. So share it with everybody. Of course, I also really appreciate when you rate and comment on the podcasts. That helps me get more listeners, but more importantly, allows me to get better authors for us to talk to over the course of the year. And as always, thank you to the Well Pennies for their great music that I get to start and end the podcast with, as well as Golden Bear Studios in Des Moines, Iowa, for permission to use it all. Now, as we close out, a few reminders. Please do not procrastinate on this process or the idea. This type of recognition early in the summer, it propels people out of some of the feelings they may have had about this past school year. For some, summer comes too quick, and for others, it comes too late. Either way, it is here and taking a moment to do, as the Heath brothers wrote in their text, The Power of Moments. When you memorialize the end of the journey, it impacts the memory of how it ended and, most importantly, people's roles in it. Friends, I need you to recognize that teachers are not sleeping at night, that they are worrying constantly, that they are working, that they are spending their time, energy, effort, and resources on all different types of pieces. And it moves them very much when someone just simply says, I saw that, and I appreciate it. Every school year is an entirely separate body of work for those teachers and everybody who works there. It's 180 days of dedication in a system that works best when it is engaged, strength-based, proactive, and positive, when everyone leads and each individual contributes to a positive culture. So this episode was not a calling to just administrators. It's a calling for each of us to take a moment and recognize the people we work around, call out their contributions, and make certain that they, the others, get a few simple things. Things like, hey, I see you. You matter. Your effort made a difference, and we love you for who you are. Yeah, shoot, here I had this great, dramatic ending here, and I forgot to say one thing. Thank you. Thank you to my educator friends, regardless of your role in your system, for all that you do, for the times where you bring on and take on the burden of your students, where you lean in and support your colleagues, where you sit there at night wondering about the safety of a student, how you will take on the burden of everything for everyone because it's just your nature. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, principals. Thank you, school personnel. Thank all of you. Thank you for whatever you do. But at the end of the day, know that I'm not alone in seeing all the different ways in which you make a difference.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you've got a friend in me. And you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, I got them too. There isn't anything that I wouldn't do for you. If we stick together, we can see it through. Because you've got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny, because you've got a friend in me. Yes, you do. Some other folks might be a bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too. Well, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. No, no. You're gonna see it's our destiny, because you've got a friend in me. Oh yeah, hey, you got a friend in me. Da 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 da.